And Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been justifying the Agyapa Minerals royalty agreement, insisting it is the best way to efficiently manage Ghana's gold royalties. At a media briefing in Accra, Mr. Ofori-Atta explained that for many years, the nation has not really benefited from its gold minerals and that the deal will be the game changer. Joining us, parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has been following the discussions on the deal right from the legislature and was at the news conference addressed by the minister today. And he joins me in the studio. Gakpo, what was the crux of the meeting today? So
essentially, Ken Ofori-Atta makes the point that they are going ahead with the floating of the shares in Agyapa in December. They think it's a good deal. It's in the best interest of the country, despite the bad muffing, as you would call it, and Ghanaians can be rest assured that the nation would not be shortchanged in any way.
Our people get far less than what we deserve. We are placed at the bottom of the list of the beneficiaries of our own riches, whether it is gold, cocoa, timber, oil, bauxite, or diamonds. The story has been the same everywhere. This is predominantly to do with the fact that our value extraction ends at a point at which these resources leave our shores. Unfortunately, analysis undertaken over an extended period has shown that the largest increase in value occurs at exactly this point when it leaves our shores, where raw resources leaves the country and is converted into either refined products or monetizable securities. 500 times more gold is traded every day than is mined. Much of this happening in countries that have very little gold themselves. President Akufo-Addo is clear in his mind that to achieve a Ghana beyond aid, we must add considerable value to what we produce and trade.
The finance minister's briefing comes a day after some 15 civil society organizations called for the suspension of the deal. What has been his response to this demand?
So he responded to them and also to the minority in parliament. First of all, he says the minority were part of the deal all through, and they are probably changing their stance now for political reasons. And he says with the CSOs, he was coming to terms with the concerns they raised until they described the whole move as a late capture of state resources. He's been commenting on that additionally.
Anyone, I saw one of the letters in which it talked about indecent haste and that there's no national emergency. If COVID is not a national emergency, I don't know what is. That there's a lot of, what do they call it? A lethal disadvantage to go to the stock market at this time. And this is the best time for the pricing of gold. I mean, if you don't take advantage of this, when else would you be able to? But I think, you know, that the issue that really was hurtful and made me discount the letter was when they ended saying that we are trying to stop elite capture, you know, which essentially meant that we here are doing this for ourselves and we have some shares in that. So if that frames the mindset in which it was brought, it makes it really very difficult to see whether it is genuine or it's intended. Because you've seen us operate for 3.5 years in which all we have done is to follow this Akufo-Addo plan to make sure that everybody benefits. And so to talk about elite capture was for me a very painful issue. The challenge for me, it's, you know, the opposition has been aware of this transaction since 2018 and have been part of the discussions, negotiations, etc. I can only hazard that because it's close to elections, they may feel that there's a political advantage of some sort. But it's not hasty, it's not new. And I saw some of them in the committee discussions, so obviously in which they were supportive of all of that. So there must be a new element, and the only element I can see is 102 days away, when December 6th. And so, but they are doing their job as opposition, so we can do that.
was Ken Ofori-Atta, Minister for Finance, explaining that the contract must not be abrogated as suggested by the CSOs. But one of the questions that has also come up, Gapo, is the fact that there are a lot of funds that's going to be coming out from this deal. But what exactly are we going to be using the funds for? Did he respond to that?
The Deputy Minister for Finance, Charles Mohne, responded to that. He listed 4 areas: education, health, infrastructure, and then a 4th area as where the investment will go. He's been speaking at the media briefing.
What do we want to use the money for? Really and truly, we want to focus on investing in 4 broad key areas: primary capital expenditures in education, in health, in housing, and in infrastructure. You know, we would like to upgrade existing schools in the mining areas. The University of Mines and Technology might be a good idea to maybe look to see if we can enhance their operations, maybe help them set up a jewelry training or jewelry design course so that we can create more value add along the gold chain. But just the whole gold value chain, we want to really be able to go further up the value chain and not just mine the raw ore and export it in its raw form. We need to be able to build refineries to refine the ore and do more value add. On the health side, it's all about resilience. I think this pandemic has showed us how important it is to make sure that we have health facilities across the length and breadth of the country, and especially in these mining areas where these miners always are running at the risk of their lives in these conditions. On the housing side, I think also the pandemic has showed us the importance of housing across the whole country, and we believe that it will be a good use of the monies to self-support some of our initiatives in the housing sector. Then also the road infrastructure. There's a lot of roads in these mining areas. In fact, a few of the mining companies have, as part of their social corporate responsibility, down the roads or improve the roads, but also for their own use because they use them. And a lot of heavy trucks ply these routes because of these mines. And it's important that these roads are kept in good condition in order to attract investment into these areas. And I know my chairman Duka here is smiling because he's from Takwa, so he appreciates, you know, the need for all these initiatives. We also would like to support the new development bank we're setting up, which is going to be used primarily for development, and also GIF, which is the Ghana Infrastructure Fund.
And that was Duboahen, who is Deputy Finance Minister. You also asked a question about the conflict of interest because of the involvement of some politically exposed persons, the son of Osafo Mafo, and also the cousin of the finance minister,
who works with African Legal Associates, and so, does the law firm advising.
So what answers did they provide regarding
the Deputy Minister for Finance responded to that. He said when it comes to the recruitment of Kofi Osafo Mafo, more than 30 people applied, and one of them was shortlisted. And for the law firm, it was virtually imposed on them by the London-based law firm White & Case.
My response to that, and I've been asked that already, is that firstly, ALA happens to be the local partner for the English law firm that we are using on this transaction, White & Case. So they work hand in hand with them. So they came in with White & Case as their local partners. We're also using Bella, which is also another law firm. And the gentleman in question that was referred to happens to be a partner in ALA, but there are several other partners, and it's a partnership. These law firms are set up as partnerships. And in fact, the partner we're working with on this is another partner altogether, and not the gentleman in question. So really, we did not see any conflicts there at all. And to be honest, when you're working on such a transaction and you want to be listed on the London Stock Exchange, they're very particular and extremely diligent in their due diligence, even to the extent of looking at all your advisors, transaction advisors, to ensure that they're comfortable with them and are are clear that there are no conflicts whatsoever there as well. And also to deal with my good friend Kofi Osafo-Malfa in the selection process. We engaged as part of, when we started this in 2018, as part of the whole process, we also engaged a headhunting firm, and the firm is called Konferry, K-O-R-N-F-E-R-R-Y. They are based out of California. They are a global headhunting firm, and we asked them to help us identify and shortlist a candidate for the CEO position, for the CFO position for Agyapa, and also for the board. And they scoured the whole globe. We said our preference for the Ghanaian, for the CEO position, was that it should be a Ghanaian, and ideally also for the chairman of the board. But we also wanted very strong operators who were experienced and had a background in mining. I think there were over 30 or so candidates that were eventually shortlisted that were brought to us. Of that, 6 were Ghanaian, and Kofi happened to be one of the 6. He also happened to be working by then with Smith. So we then said, okay, he was a good prospect, but until such time as we got to the listing stage, we would engage him as a consultant, especially then be able to exactly see if he would bring the right value to the table and was capable enough to do the job. His background was a right fit. He happened to have been in the asset management business, being a equity research analyst, covering gold and mining and energy stocks.
Now, Gakpo, you tracked the minister down yourself, and you put the same question to the minister. He has some interesting.
He had a very interesting response, and he actually asked the question in response to my question on Top Story when we spoke live at 5:30, and he said, even him, Ken Ofori-Atta, is an appointee of the president and is a cousin of the president. Does that amount to conflict of interest? Well, and then he went on to make the point that all these people who are connected with the government actually got it as a result of their competence, not because of their relationship with government officials.
Well, the minority in parliament still insists the deal is bad for Ghana and has warned it will review it should it win power, with the ultimate aim of abrogating it. Abu Jinapo is member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, also a member of the Mines and Energy Committee. Listen to him.
If you build schools, if you build health infrastructure, how do you make profit to pay shareholders? You see the deception? Schools, social intervention like schools, like hospitals. Where do you make that profit to declare dividend? And why would investors around the world invest in an SPV whose job would be to do what government of Ghana does in terms of building schools? He stated at a press conference that these 12 mining companies brings in about 150 million. If you get $150 million per annum and you want to build schools, you want to build hospitals, wouldn't you better use the money? Why do you want to send the money abroad to a company established in a tax haven and then say that that company will then bring the money back to build hospitals and schools and expect to make profit from hospitals and schools in Ghana and then go back there and pay shareholders? What kind of a nonsense story is this? Look, my brother, we are all Ghanaians and we all want the betterment of this country. This ministry under this government is being extremely deceptive. They don't want to tell you the truth, that they are borrowing money and they will service that debt with our mineral royalties. That is what they are doing. But you see, they think that they are so clever that they can dribble all of us. Okay, if they will ready, if they will building schools, go and check their incorporation. Go and check their incorporation. Is that their mandate to build hospitals? Is that the mandate of Agyapa?
If you look at it, the mineral income investment fund, it's the entity established by law. So they, of course, will take, government owns, remember, 51% of this. And so government takes back what it gets and then does the investment with it from our end.
Go and check the relationship agreement. We are giving them so much indemnity. In fact, there's even an indemnity agreement. We are even confirming that we'll deal with Agyapa at arm's length, and that when we give them the money, they will decide what to use the 75.6% of our royalties for. So this issue of schools, this issue of whatever, it's a complete lie.
You heard there John Jinapo. He's a minority member of the Finance Committee and also a member of the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. He spoke earlier. So to come in this bulletin, the Bomfasi community, where 2 soldiers were assaulted in a land dispute, remains deserted 3 days after the incident.
Even forgot to turn off the lights.
We'll bring you details plus business shortly when Sandra Peno takes over.